Hey guys, this is Carrie, and in this video we're going to finish up the Defuse the Bomb web app. So let's take a look at where we're up to in our code so far. So when I press refresh on this screen here, we've got the timer working. Awesome. We also have a new code generated every time we press refresh. And then I can type in an answer here, and it looks like my answer is showing up in these locations. So this answer is a mix of some correct digits, the 9 and the 1, and some incorrect digits, the last two. But as the user right now, I'd find this a little bit disappointing because I'm not getting any feedback about which digits are correct. So for my next guess, I'm basically guessing from scratch again. So to make the game more fun, what we're going to do is we're going to say when they reach 4 digits on their guess, we want to color code the correct ones green and the incorrect ones red, so that going forward, they can take better guesses. So let's get started with that. In order to color code these, I'm going to go into the style.css, and I'm going to create 2 new classes. One class is going to be correct, and when one of these is correct, basically it's going to have all the properties of the number class, but instead of a blue background, I'm going to change the background to light green. Cool. The next one is going to be the incorrect class, which will be for digits like the last two, 3 and 7, which didn't match. And this one will have a background of red to let the user know that these were not correct. So to test these classes out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually add them to the first one. So I'll put correct here, and then I'll press refresh a couple of times. Okay, cool, the style has kicked in. And now this is important. We've never actually done this before, but the first one actually has 2 classes. When you put class equals and then a space, it means it has this class and this class. And the reason why that's important is it has all of the features from the number class, and then the correct class, because it's second, that background color overrides the blue. So I'm going to change this one to incorrect just to make sure that it's working. All right, awesome, incorrect looks like it's working too. But of course, we don't want to manually have this as correct or incorrect from the beginning. We want this to be correct or incorrect as a response to something that the user does. So since this involves user interaction, I'll delete those classes here, and I'll head over to the JavaScript because that's where user interaction happens. All right. So we run into this problem, right, where we didn't learn forEach loops. So we have this crazy amount of copying and pasting that makes things a little bit more complicated. So 2 things that we'll have to do related to that. I just want to keep my ideas straight. So here, this is my answer 1, answer 2, answer 3, and answer 4. And that changes every time. Okay, that looks good. When I press the keys, these create my guess numbers, and you'll notice that those classes aren't being applied yet. That's the part that we still have to code. So these will be my guess numbers, and then these numbers up here, these are the numbers. So guesses are the ones I type in, answer is here, and numbers are here. All right, then the other place where the copying and pasting gave us a bit of a problem is that I'm going to have to start by programming just the 1 key, and then after that, I'll program the other keys. So when I type in all of the numbers, last thing that we have so far is that it combines all 4 of these guesses to make a composite guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to code at the very bottom here after the console.log. So the first thing that I'm going to check is I'm going to check to see if the first number that we guessed, guess 1, is the same thing as answer 1. And if it is, then I am going to, I actually only want to do this after they take a full guess. So if I type it in here, it's not going to have the behavior that I want. It's going to do this after, basically I don't want to give them feedback here. I want to only give them feedback when they reach a full guess. So I'm going to have to change that a little bit. I'm going to change this condition first to say, if guess.length is the full length for, then I want to check these things. Otherwise, I won't give them feedback yet. So if guess.length is 4, then I'm going to check within that if number is the blue section. The actual thing is guess1 is the same thing as answer1. Then I would like to take the blue thing, number1, and I'd like to go to its class list, which is a list of its classes. Notice that the L is capitalized, and I'd like to add correct. Oop, not an enter there. If anything else, if this one is not equal to answer 1, basically, then I'd like to give it a class list of incorrect. So once I reach 4 for the length of the guess, if guess 1 is equal to the answer, it'll be marked correct here. That makes sense. Otherwise, it'll be marked incorrect here. So I'm going to create some copies of this code here, but I'm going to change it so that it will happen for guess 2 and guess 3. I probably could just do it one at a time, and that would be easier. So we had guess 1, answer 1, but now there are 2's and number 2. If guess 3 is the same thing as answer 3, then the third spot should be correct. Oh, I forgot to change this one to a 2. So all of the ones become 2's, then all of the ones become 3's. Then here, if guess 4 is the same thing as answer 4, we have to mark these as correct and incorrect as well. All right, so within here, we should be giving feedback once we reach a guess length of 4 correctly now. So this only works for my 1 button, so I'm going to refresh it a couple of times until I get a solution that has a 1 in it. And now I'm going to type in 1, 1, 1, 1. And I can see that I'm getting the correct feedback here. Once I reach 4, incorrect, 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 and correct would be green. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to have to copy and paste this code into the other buttons, but I'm not going to do that yet because I'm going to add a couple of more things. So here we go. The next thing that I'm going to add is I'm going to say, and this is going to be important to emphasize here, these things are all being checked independently because they all start with their own if. Like guess 2 being correct has nothing to do with whether guess 1 is correct, so I don't want to use an else there. Going on, I want to create one more if, I think just one more, which is what if they get the whole thing correct? So if the whole thing is correct, that would mean this is correct and this is correct, and this is correct, and this is correct. That sounds like a compound conditional statement using ends. So if guess 1 is equal to answer 1, and guess 2 is equal to answer 2, and guess 3 is equal to answer 3, and guess 4 is equal to answer 4, squiggly parentheses, this means that they actually got it. And the reason why I'm using the ends here instead of the ors is we need all of these things to be correct, not just like one of them to be correct. And when we need everything to be true, that's end. So continuing on here, if all of these are correct, what I want to do is I want to take this section here that I put game over in, or I put the time in. I basically want to do something very similar to the game over. I want to announce that they won, and then I want to get rid of the timer. So I copied and pasted those codes from the game over, or those pieces of code from the game over, and I'm going to change it to UN. And I'm going to clear the timer because I don't want the timer to continue once they defuse the bomb. So I'm going to say you win, the bomb has been defused. So I'm not going to be able to check this because I only have this on the 1 key so far. And I'm not going to get the correct combination by just pressing the 1 key. All right, next up. If they didn't get everything correct, what I want to do, so the else here, is I want to reset their guess back to an empty guess. So up here, when they first start, we set their guesses equal to this empty string. Now that I've taken care of displaying all the information, in the computer's memory, I'm going to clear out those variables so I'm ready for the next guess. So if everything is right, we'll announce that they win, and then we'll clear the timer. Otherwise, something was wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of their guess by making not guess. Guess 1 equals to this. Guess 2 equals to this. Guess 3 equals to this. Guess 4 equals to this. And then I'm going to reset their guess as a whole back to nothing. So I'm going to reset each digit and then the whole thing. Let's see if this works. So remember, I can only guess 1. So then when I do that, that looks good. Now if I keep typing it, nice, it resets back to the beginning. But I noticed in that resetting, it keeps the colors. So as I'm taking my new guesses, I just have the other colors. So to fix that part, this is, I think, the last thing that we're going to need to fix. I'm going to say that when the guess length is 1, or when the guess length starts as 0, and then we type in our first guess, as it fills in the first one, I want to clear out the feedback from before. So I'm going to do that here. So after the guess length is 0, when they type in the first part of their guess, I'm going to make, let's see, number 1 dot class list dot remove, or sorry, I think class list dot remove, JavaScript class list remove. Yes, remove, awesome. So at the beginning, I'm going to remove incorrect and correct from this. Because whether it was correct or incorrect, once they start to guess again, I want to get rid of those pieces of feedback. And I want to do that for each of the numbers. So once they start the new guess, I'll clear out the feedback from number 1. I'll clear out the feedback from number 2, from number 3, and from number 4. All right, I think things should be working pretty well here, but I only have this on the 1 key, so let me refresh it until I get a combination that has a 1 in the answer. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Oh, there we go, okay. Here we go, so as I type it in, they're registering. I get 1, awesome. Now here's the new part. As I start to type it in again, yes, the feedback clears and my guess resets. And if I get the same guess, it gives me the same feedback, awesome. So now I need to make these features work for the other buttons. So I'm going to do that by being really careful here. So I'm going to get all of these lines of code. And I'm going to put these in the guess.length equals 0 part for each of the other keys. And next semester, we're going to learn a way better way of doing all of this. I hope this is very inspiring to need to learn a forEach loop, because instead of having to do this for each of them manually by copying and pasting, we'll learn a way to have the code do it for each of them. So I'm going into guess.length equals 0 between these parentheses, and I'm removing everything for each of the keys. So I'm removing the feedback here. I'm removing the feedback from key 3. I'm removing the feedback from key 4 when they reach 0. When they reach 0 in key 5, I'm removing the feedback. In key 6, I'll remove the feedback. Key 7 will remove the feedback. Key 8 will remove the feedback. Oh, nope, not there. That's the wrong spot. Key 9 equals 0 will remove the feedback. Cool. And so the part that remains to copy and paste is to add the feedback. So I have the feedback being added in key 1 only. So this is the hard part. We're going to take from line 103 in my code, which is if the guess equals 4, this part is missing in all of them, all the way down to this squiggle, because this squiggle is the one that matches up with this one here. So we're going to copy this, and I'm going to add this to key 2 at the very end. Cool. I'm going to add this to key 3 after console.log. So I press enter twice and then paste, command V. Key 4, enter twice, command V. Key 5, after the console.log, command V. Key 6. And again, this is really bad programming what I'm doing right now, and we're going to learn a better way to do it. But we don't know it yet, so we have to do it the kind of bad way. What makes this bad is I'm just getting tired of copying and pasting, and it's hard for me to track any errors that I might have. So hopefully I didn't make any errors, otherwise I'm going to have to go through and fix them in 9 spots. All right, let's see if our app works. So I'm going to take some guesses. All right, it looks like all of the keys are working, which is awesome. I'm getting good feedback. If I type the next guess, it resets it back to the beginning. Okay, cool. That one's giving me good feedback. I haven't checked the first one's feedback, so 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, cool. Both 2s were correct. Awesome. Let me get the correct guess. Okay, awesome. So I win. The bomb has been defused. That's awesome. Now, I can keep taking guesses here. But you'll notice that because my guess hasn't reset back to the beginning, it doesn't look like anything is changing on the user's end, which is really nice. It still feels like they won. Technically, I guess you can go in and deactivate these buttons, just like we did with the quiz app. But I don't think we need to because it doesn't actually affect the screen here. I think the app works. So, well, I'm going to keep the console open because that's where I see the correct answer. And it's important for me to be able to have the correct answer there as the coder because I want to be able to test it. So I might test it a few more times. Oh, yes, I got the bomb. And then the last thing I might test is, can I actually lose the game? What happens when I lose? But I'm not going to test that because I don't want to wait the full 60 seconds here. So it could be that when we lose, we might need to hide these things. Let's just see, actually. I'm going to speed up the timer for losing and just make sure that losing works as I expect. So here we go. I'm going to speed it up so that it goes really fast. Okay, and now let me just make sure that when I lose, it does kind of what I expect. Okay, so I got a game over. Ugh, but here we go. I can still guess. So I should disable the buttons now that I got the game over. So I think the easiest way I can think of to disable the buttons is when I get a game over, just to hide all of the buttons. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to my keypad. It has a class of keypad. I'm also going to give it an ID of keypad. I'm going to go over to the JavaScript. At the top here, this has to do with the timer step. So I'm going to say let keypad equal, go to the document, and get the element with the ID of keypad. Did I uppercase the P or no? I did not. Okay, so I'm going to be consistent with that. I'll make it lowercase again, keypad. And let me see how to hide an element, JavaScript. I think it's document.style.display, and then I do none or hidden. So let me see if I can do that. So when they get the game over, this one I don't have to copy and paste, luckily, because the game over is just something at the very beginning. I want to hide all of the keypad. So I'm going to, hopefully this works, keypad.style.display equals none. And let's see if when I get the game over now, and I still have the sped up time, it hides that keypad. Awesome. So now it gets rid of the keypad, and now they can't guess anymore, and it really feels like a sad game over. Okay, cool. So I think the app is complete. I'm just going to reset my timer back to ticking down every 1 second. There's a lot of fun places that you can take this in terms of adding your own ideas. You could add sound to the backgrounds. When they press the buttons, you could have it make a sound. When the bomb explodes, you could have it make a sound, or you could have it display an image. When you win, you could have it display an image for winning. You could have it get rid of the keypad for winning. You could have it give feedback so that if I get the right digit, like 6, but in the wrong spot, instead of turning this one red, because it was the right digit in the wrong spot, maybe it turns it yellow. And all of these things are things that you can figure out how to code using the things that you've learned this semester. So if you're interested in adding a feature, go for it. Otherwise, great job, and I hope you feel very inspired to learn our next programming thing, which is a forEach loop, so we don't have to type in, what was it? 1,000? No, is it more than 1,000 lines of code? Let's see. 800 lines of code to do this. I think we can do it in roughly less than 100, because we'd only have to type in for the key thing once instead of 9 times. So enjoy playing your game. If you close the console, you can just play along and send this to people that you know so that they can see what you've learned in computer science and that you're able to build games using the knowledge that you have. All right, guys, I'll see you next time in class. Bye.